in the land where the ground bleeds black gold. Every drop comes with a cost. The screen fades from black. A low rumble echoes like thunder deep beneath the earth. The sound of heavy metal grinding fades in machinery at work. We see shadows of oil rigs stretching across an empty horizon, sharp against the pale dawn. Their arms pump endlessly like dark giants pulling life from the soil. The wind howls, carrying dust across cracked land. The voice cuts through the silence, slow and steady, filled with weight. In this place, nothing is given. Everything is taken. The visuals move closer. Flames burst from pipes, flaring into the early morning sky. A worker's gloved hand tightens a rusted valve, sweat shining on his skin despite the cold. Another worker drags a heavy chain, the sound of metal scraping over steel. Their faces remain hidden, only shadows under hard hats and masks. The camera lingers on boots sinking into oil-soaked mud. The voice continues. Every barrel pulled from the earth writes a new story. Stories of fortune, of hunger, of betrayal. The music begins to rise slow strings with a deep drum beat like a warning. We cut to wide shots of endless oil fields, drills lined up like soldiers on a battlefield. The earth shakes as machines pound deeper. We see black liquid burst upward, spilling into open containers. The shot slows, droplets of oil falling in. Midair, shining like jewels in the dim light. The narration presses on. This is not just oil. This is power. This is blood. And in the race to control it, there are no friends, only rivals. Darkness fades in for a moment, broken by a flare. A fire from an oil torch. The screen fills with silhouettes, rows of men and women working in silence, their shadows cast long across the dirt. We hear the clash of metal, the hiss of steam, the grinding churn of engines. Each sound stacks on the other, building pressure, creating a sense of something unstoppable. The voice grows sharper. Here, trust is thinner than smoke. Promises are carved in oil and burned away in fire. The land doesn't forgive, and neither do the people who fight for it. The camera pans across wide landscapes, deserts under a blood-red sky, storms rolling in over endless plains, the sea of drilling towers flickering like dark monuments to greed. A single crow flies across the sky, cawing against the wind. The music slows again, fading to a heartbeat rhythm, steady and low. A lone figure stands at the edge of the oil fields, back turned to the camera. He holds his helmet at his side, staring out as if weighing the cost of what lies ahead. The narrator whispers now, oil built empires, but it also buried them. And those who dig too deep may never come back. The section closes with one final image, black oil dripping slowly from a worker's glove, falling into the dirt. Each drop echoes like a drum beat. The final line lands heavy, cold, and certain. This is the land of black gold. And the fight has only begun. Asterisk, the screen opens with a sharp, cut bright white papers slammed down on a polished table. Ink spreads across signatures as pens scratch in silence. The sound of that ink is loud, deliberate, as if each stroke signs away a piece of someone's soul. The voiceover drops in, colder, faster. Every deal looks clean on the surface, but beneath it drips with greed. The images flash quickly. A hand counts stacks of money, crisp bills pressed tight. Another hand slips a thick envelope across. A desk, fingers trembling with urgency. A map unfolds oil fields marked in blood-red ink, arrows stabbing toward land already owned by someone else. The tension grows with every frame. The narrator presses harder. Power is not earned here, it is taken. And those who want it will bleed the earth dry. The music grows faster, violins cutting like blades, drums pounding like war. A phone slams down. A gavel strikes in a courtroom, echoing through the silence. The scene jumps to workers drilling deep underground, sparks flying as machines grind past their limits. Faces remain unseen, but we feel their exhaustion, dirty hands. Gripping steering wheels, boots stomping across steel floors, eyes hidden behind tinted safety glasses. Shadows of power loom over them, suits and high-rise windows. Glasses of whiskey in manicured hands. Quiet laughter echoing in boardrooms. The voice sharpens, carrying a bitter edge. They call it business. They call it growth. But it's nothing. Less than a war fought with money, lies, and blood. We see oil spilled across a desk, dripping from a cracked pipe into an overflowing glass. The camera cuts between the wealth of the few and the burden of the many glistening chandeliers. Above a lavish dinner, then a worker collapsing into mud, his gloves torn. The rhythm of the cuts accelerates, like a drumbeat rushing toward a breaking point. A shadowy handshake fills the framed two figures in silhouette, sealing a deal under dim light. The camera pushes closer, showing only their clasped hands, tense and untrusting. Then another shot of contract shredded in half, the sound ripping through silence. The narration pounds forward. Every promise comes with a hidden cost. Every ally hides a knife. We cut to fast-moving images, trains loaded with oil barrels racing down tracks, helicopters circling rigs, money exchanged under the table, hands slamming into fists, angry eyes caught in the glow of a single light. The flames of oil torches roar louder, climbing into the night sky. The music grows jagged metallic notes, pounding percussion. A rising hum of tension. The narration slows, dropping deep like a warning. The deeper they dig, the darker it gets. Greed feeds on greed, and in the end it consumes everything. Suddenly, the screen goes black for a moment. A single drop of oil falls in silence. Then explosions. Flames erupt across oil fields, towers collapsing in sparks. A brief flash of a man's fist crashing into a table, shaking glasses of liquor. Another flash, an unsigned contract burning in fire, curling into ash. The voice rises again, steady but dangerous. They think they can control the land. They think they can control the oil, but the truth is, no one controls power. Power controls them. The section ends with one last chilling sequence. A lone oil rig spins in the night, creaking against the wind. The sound fades to silence, broken only by the narrator's final line. In this war for black gold, trust dies first, and once it's gone, everything else falls with it. Asterisk, the screen fades in with silence. A single chain dangles in the dark, swinging slowly, creaking as it moves. Then the sound of metal snapping. The chain falls, echoing into the emptiness. The voiceover cuts in, low and heavy. Every empire falls. Not from enemies outside, but from betrayal within. The visuals shift. A close-up of a phone vibrating on a table in a dim-lit room. A hand reaches for it, pauses, then pulls away. The screen shows only the word, unknown caller. The sound of rain pelts against a window. A man's shadow stands alone in the room, unmoving. The voice continues. Lies spread faster than oil, and once they spill, there is no way to clean them. The montage sharpens documents stamped confidential being photographed in secret, a key slipped under a door, whispers traded in hallways. Two figures sit across from each other, faces hidden, a single light between them. One slides a folder across the table. The other opens it, eyes widening in shock. The sound of a heartbeat grows louder, syncing with the cuts. The voice carries. More weight now, bitter and certain. Friends turn to strangers, partners turn to predators, and those who were once family become the sharpest knives. The camera flashes to a storm rolling over the oil fields. Workers rush as thunder. Crashes, the rigs moaning under the weight of wind and rain. In another cut, a gavel strikes again, but this time the echo is deeper, final judgment being passed. The screen goes dark for half a second, then bursts into an image of two hands ripping apart a contract, paper tearing louder than thunder. The music builds a slow, sharp violin that screeches like it's tearing itself apart. We see boots pounding down a hallway, a locked door kicked open, a safe cracked in seconds. Then the betrayal made real. A gun clatters onto a desk. A wallet, half open, reveals a family photo. Smudged with oil. The voice drops. Quieter now, almost like a whisper of guilt. Once the trust is gone, there's no turning back. The montage accelerates. Flames race through oil pipes like veins of fire. A man drops to his knees in the Mud, hands clawing at the ground as the rain washes oil over him. A brief flash of hands in chains, dragged into shadow. Another flash, papers burning, the ashes floating into the storm, the sound of a door slamming echoes, then silence. A woman's hand grips a knife under the table. A man's hand grips the arm of his chair until his knuckles turn white. Neither face is shown. Only the pressure, only the dread. The narrator's tone hardens. Here, betrayal is not a choice, it is survival. And those who hesitate are the first to fall. The images blur into chaos, workers screaming as a rig erupts. In flames, oil pouring into the sea, helicopters circling as sirens wail in the distance. A shot of shattered glass on the floor, the reflection of a shadow walking away. The violin shrieks louder, then cuts to silence. One final image remains. A hand, slick with oil, reaches out desperately in the rain. Another hand hovers above it, hesitates, and then pulls away. The first hand slips back into the mud. The narrator delivers the last line of the section, cold and unflinching. Betrayal doesn't just take lives, it takes souls. The screen fades to black. A single heartbeat echoes once, then stops. The silence breaks with a violent roar. An explosion lights up the night sky, flames shooting higher than the rigs themselves. Sirens wail in the distance, the sound weaving into the pounding of drums that crash like thunder. The camera cuts. Fast workers running through clouds of smoke, headlights of trucks blinding in the storm, a storm of sparks raining down like fire. The voiceover slices through the chaos, deep and relentless. The fight for oil is no longer about business, it's survival. The montage moves faster now, each cut sharper than the last. A courtroom gavel slams, echoing like a gunshot. A steel door bursts open, shadows rushing through. Helicopters cut across the sky, their searchlights tearing through the darkness. Flames burst from a pipe, oil spraying into the air like black rain. A voice, stronger now, pushes over the images. Power demands sacrifice. And the world is running out of things left to give. The camera flashes to broken pieces, shattered glass on a marble floor, a revolver spinning slowly across a table, a chessboard tipped over, pieces scattering, the king falling last. The music rises to a fever pitch, strings screaming, drums pounding like a war march. Then black screen, a single drop of oil falls in silence. It lands with a heavy echo, spreading across the floor like spreading blood. Out of the silence comes the narrator's voice, low and final. Oil, power, betrayal. The chaos resumes with even greater force. Flames tower into the night sky, rigs collapsing in sparks, crowds screaming in shadows. A hand slams down on a contract, the ink smearing. Another hand grips a briefcase, chained shut, pulled into the back of a black car. In one flash, a masked figure disappears into the smoke. In another, a family photo burns to ash in slow motion. The pace accelerates into a storm of images, angry faces lit by firelight, boardrooms shaking under the weight of slammed fists, storms ripping across empty fields, men and women running as machines topple behind them. The score hits its peak, deep drums, screeching strings, and the roar of fire all colliding. The voice rises, commanding, unforgettable. The land takes back what it is owed. And those who dig too deep will be buried. Suddenly, silence. The screen is black. Only the faint sound of a single breath remains. Then, text fades in bold, glowing against the darkness. Landman Season 2, the silence holds for one long moment. Then the date slams onto the screen in bright, unflinching white. Returns November 16. A final surge of sound hits drums crashing like thunder, fire exploding into the night. The Paramount Plus logo burns onto the screen. Shining against the black dot, the voice delivers the closing words, sharp and final. Only on Paramount Plus, the flames fade, the screen goes dark. A single drop of oil falls into silence, fade out.